She finally found someone who led her into an office for an interview. After just a few moments of scanning her resume, he denied her on the spot, stating he needed people with a little bit more work history. Cindy, who's only worked for Wendy's back in high school, begged for a chance, saying she'll do any job he needed done. Seeing a change in his mood, he asked her to close the door. She did so. This old pervert of a man offered her a well-paying position with a condition. Cindy knew where he was going with this, so she gathered her things to walk out. But he then said, "Where you gonna go? Who's gonna hire some junkie whore fresh out of rehab?" Wondering how he would even know this info, he answered the question before she could ask. He knows her face from the news and proceeded to make Cindy feel helpless. Cindy blood boiled under that straight face expression, and he agreed to his offer, giving him fellatio on the spot. Completing her condition, she asked, "When did she start?" "Whenever you want, magic mouth." If she didn't feel low and degraded enough, a new pet name was pushing her over. Now inside the bathroom connected to his office, all she could think about was that bag of dope Danny offered an hour ago. Kicking herself for even craving the feeling of that release, she thought about Ryan, the dead guy who beat her that night, her family turning their backs, her dad leaving her in the middle of it all, and all in one moment she decided life would never be better than the one she's currently living. Convinced she had nothing left to lose, she invites her new boss back to her place that night. As forward as this scene, Cindy had a plan to escape this place forever, but like anything, it comes with a cost she's willing to risk and pay. And he would be her first victim to start the process, she thought. That night at home, Kane asked was he also scared to tell mom and dad like he was, and Cameron replied that he's glad Kane didn't open his fat mouth this time, and says not to worry because Mr. Collins would never bother them again. And so you have it. The brothers make a pact to stay silent. The next day comes up, and 10-year-old Cameron has a look of determination as he walked in the home of the Collins. Hours into the stay, Cameron gets up from the table and in front of everyone proceeds to walk upstairs, a place where they all know is forbidden to them. Mr. Collins screams his name, but he keeps walking. In disbelief, Mr. Collins hesitates for a minute, then follows him upstairs. With all the lights out, Cameron disappears into the shadows, making him think he almost likely went into his son's room. Now, sprinting up the stairs almost at the top, Mr. Collins feels an ice cold shatter over his knee, making him tumble backwards down the steps. Once hitting the bottom, he looked up to see Cameron with a blank expression, holding his dad's utility hammer. As they sat there minding their own, they can hear what sounded like a verbal altercation taking place in the middle of the park. Terrence stood up, trying to get a better look at what's going on, while Melissa suggested they just leave. Terrence asked why, because it had nothing to do with them, telling her not to trip out on him like last time. Melissa feeling the way about that comment, obviously frustrated, she stood up, walking away into the wooden trail that they came in on. Terrence screaming her name and she ignored him on her way out, but stopped and asked, was he coming or not? They both then heard a loud pop. Turning around, there was a 14-year-old boy on the ground, bleeding out, while the person who shot him ran off into a different trail. With nobody lending their help, some with phones out recording, others too shocked to move, Terrence sprung into action, and Melissa does the same. Melissa asks Terrence to roll him over on his back and check him for an exit wound. He yells back that he found it and quickly took off his hoodie and shirt to place over both wounds, front and back. Melissa curses the crowd, asking did anyone even call the police yet? And an older woman confirms that she had called before the shooting even took place. She tries talking to the victim, keeping him awake. What was his name? If he knew who shot him? Is there someone that you want me to call? Terrence stands up, spotting the police across the park. He waved his arms in the air to their location. Upon the officer's arrival, Terrence and Melissa informed them of everything that happened before and after the shooting. But what this officer did next really changed Terrence's perspective of cops in general. Terrence stepping back, watching as the male officer rolled the teenager on his stomach to cuff him. Terrence, Melissa, the crowd, and even the female partner tried telling him he was bleeding out and needed help more than anything. He was the one shot. If you're looking for someone to arrest, he ran that way. He wasn't the one shooting. Somebody called his parents. Those were the words from several people watching in horror as this cop handled him like trash as he clings on to the little life that he had left.